He owns one hat. He owns one hat. Oh, Tanner Beason. He owns
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What?
one hat. Tanner? Tanner? I can give the hat back. Well, I mean, first to start off, how did you go from James to Tanner?
That was a decision above my pay grade. You know, I just as early as I can remember, I was just Tanner.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I actually don't even go by my first name either, so I get that. Yeah. You may be a young man, but you've already met the love of your life, and it's truly an inseparable bond, or at least that's what we think. Can you tell us the story of how you met your better half, aka the tan Lululemon hat? Which we're not even wearing today, but yeah.
Yeah, we've gone with a different hat today, but I believe it was a gift from I think my mom. You know, so she's normally good about getting me something from Lulu, and it was a hat that day. So
yeah, it just reminds you of home. So yeah. In the NBA, players have this thing they like to call the welcome to the league moment. It's a moment where like you've been the man your whole life, being like a top athlete compared to everyone else, and now you enter the league, and on your first play you're getting dunked on or posterized. Do you have something that was kind of your welcome to the league moment?
Let's see. I think I had a giveaway in, I want to say like my second game, that ended up in like a counterattack and we got scored on. And it wasn't necessarily like I know the thing you're referring to. It wasn't necessarily like I got dribbled by or whatever, but it was like oh wow, okay, this is fast. This is a different level kind of thing where you have that realization. Yeah.
What is the biggest difference? You're someone who's obviously played at a very elite level when it comes to college soccer, if not, we could say the most elite. What is that big difference stepping up? Because I'm sure when you were in the college team, especially when you're captain of Stanford, you're looking at it like, yeah, I'm with the best of the best. And then you jump a whole nother league and you're like, oh, there's another level.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything, you know. It's like you said, you're kind of at the upper echelon within the league that you're playing, and then you move up and you realize, wow, these guys are even faster, and they make their decisions even quicker. That first touch is so good. I thought I was going to get there to block that shot, but he got his touching shot off so quickly. Like all those different things. Physically, the athletes are even better, but then the soccer side of it as well is just definitely an adjustment. And you do adjust. You know, you're in training and you get better and you get more accustomed to the speed of things. But there, you know, there's certainly an adjustment period for everyone.
And how insane is it now that we have, especially with the earthquakes, we have 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds coming in like Nico, Cade, Cruz.
Yeah, no, that's one of those things that's kind of like an eye opener. When in college it was, you know, you're either a freshman up to a senior, but then you get into this locker room and people can be from 15 to I think Wanda was 38 when he was stopped playing. So there can be a much bigger gap in terms of age and where they are in life and development, all that different stuff. And so it's really impressive when those guys, they come in, and you always have to remind yourself, like, well, he's only 16, because really impressive the way those guys conduct themselves and continue to improve in such an adult environment, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also are someone who's in a really rare scenario where you've gotten to pretty much live out your biggest dream and probably your parents' biggest dream when you went to Stanford University to get a really nice education. How much of the educational prestige was a factor when choosing Stanford?
Yeah, I think it's a big piece. You know, the opportunity to go to school there was for sure a huge component of that. I would be lying if I said I knew exactly the soccer success that I was going to achieve there in terms of like outcome stuff and the trophies and whatever, because you couldn't possibly know that going into it. So I knew it was going to be a good program, and I liked the people that I met on the team there and the coaching staff. but it's a huge opportunity for my life to go there and go to school there because when I was making that decision, I didn't know if I would be playing soccer afterwards or not. So
Yeah, especially with redshirting and everything as well.
yeah.
I like to think that I go to a pretty okay school. It's no Stanford, and I know I can struggle with time management, so I can only imagine what it's like to be a Stanford student as well as a student athlete. But not on top, something on top of that a lot of people don't know is you partnered with the Academic Excellence Mentorship. Where did you get all this phenomenal time management from?
I think it was like a high school thing that was just I went to a high school that was kind of intense in terms of the school workload and that sort of thing. And so, you go to school, like, in high school, you're going to school all day. And then you have your homework, and then I'd have to drive to practice, academy practice and back. And so I was almost even busier in high school. The school wasn't as hard, but just the volume of like time that I was, you're at school for so long during the day. And so you get used to like kind of keeping yourself on schedule and making sort of a schedule for yourself to make sure you're sticking on because you can get behind quickly, and just try to carry that into school because it's the same thing, and the school's harder, the soccer's harder, and you're more tired from all these different things. And so yeah, that's something that I think is a big skill that if people can learn that, whatever you're doing, you'll be all right.
How much does that help you with being a professional athlete? Because I know your guys' schedules can be very rigorous and changing in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, not going to school anymore, so I have a little more time for not having that. But you're traveling all over the place, and your schedule can be very different week to week because of that travel. So I think it just having the comfort level in terms of making a schedule, and that sort of relaxes me. And what's my week going to look like? I want to do this, this, and this, and knowing that you can kind of make a schedule and stick to it, that's a good thing in this industry.
You and fellow teammate Jack Skane, or at that time John, according to the articles, played for San Francisco FC in 2018. What's it like to have someone you already knew come into the locker room around the same time as you, even rooming with him during rookie season?
Yeah, that was great. And Jack and I are good buddies now too. But that was a funny coincidence. I knew of Jack in college because he went to North Carolina, and I knew a lot of the guys there, being from there. But I didn't know him personally that well. I knew a number of his teammates really well, and then one summer I was playing at the San Francisco City, and so it was just kind of a summer league sort of thing. And we finished school later, so we ended up joining those teams later. And we went up to the first practice, a couple of my Stanford teammates and I, and Jack and this other buddy of his and mine that went to Carolina as well. They were at the practice, and I was like, what are these guys doing here in San Francisco right now? So that was great. Yeah, a few weeks there in the summer playing together, and then a couple years later, who would have known? So yeah, that's been cool.
Did playing at San Francisco give you a good taste of the Bay Area and actually make it so like, oh, I kind of hope I get selected by the Quakes a little bit more, or a job's a job, and I'm just happy to be selected?
Certainly, you're just happy to be selected. I mean, it was cool for me to be selected somewhere that I knew. I wasn't going to a city or a place that I really didn't know. I already had an established network of sort of friends and family, people I consider family out here. So that was awesome. And then experiences like that and the summer team with SF City have certainly helped me like get a better feel for the community in different parts. Because the Bay Area, people always use that term, but it's kind of vague. If you live in the Bay, you know how vague of a term that is. So it's nice to get to experience different parts of it more closely.
100%. That is very much something that's hard to describe when you're not from there. Yeah. A few more Stanford boys have actually entered the ranks since your time with the Cardinals, including Buda, Richmond, Tanguy, Seeley. Have you noticed any mannerisms or style of play that just bring back a little nostalgia, like, that's a Stanford boy right there?
I think other people make those comments toward us sometimes. So maybe we don't notice them because it's sort of ingrained as readily as other people seem to notice things that are so Stanford-esque. But no, I mean it's awesome to have familiar faces and guys that you know well, and both from a soccer perspective, but also just personally. So that's been really cool to see those guys get the opportunity and then be in the locker room and be at training, and it's just awesome to have people like that around you. So
What are some of those mannerisms or stuff that people kind of tease you guys about?
I think some of it's like just sort of American mannerisms that maybe other guys don't display as much. We're kind of like college guys, so there's other guys that maybe display them as well, like Jack, for example. Um, but we certainly occupy sort of college-esque mannerisms, maybe in the gym or stuff like that looks different than some of the other guys.
I got you. Especially with such an international locker room like we have. I know the Brazilian guys have their own little corner. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's different like kind of groups and backgrounds, and I think that's a really cool part of it.
Mm-hmm. Are there any shared like pain stories you guys when it had, or like, do you remember Professor Kalita's class, or like one of Coach Gunn's infamous fitness tests that you guys like to reminisce about?
Yeah, I mean, we end up talking Stanford a decent amount. Probably more the latter, more stuff like soccer related, because we were there at different times, so the class stuff probably didn't line up for me as well with those guys. But yeah, definitely, it's fun to be able to kind of reminisce on that stuff, and we try to go and see a practice or see a game together every once in a while to continue reminiscing about the good old days in school. So.
You've seen a big change from Covello. I mean, even Matthias, like where you were playing left back, you broke in around the time some injuries started to come in. What's been the biggest change you've seen from Covello to Lucci as far as your roles with the team?
Yeah, I mean, part of the industry, part of the job is all that kind of turbulence and change that can transpire. And so Covello came in at obviously like a tough period, and he and the staff that were there, many of whom are still here, did super well to kind of settle the group and try to just put together a way that they wanted us to play and try to get everyone on the same page and just sort of attack those different games, especially when they came in. We were in the middle of I think a pretty busy run of games. So it was just kind of a crazy turbulent beginning we were just so busy traveling all over the place. And then I think with the new staff, they did a good job of course, we had the whole preseason for them to come in and try to get everyone on the same page and be very clear about kind of what they want the team to look like, the locker room, the behavioral norms, and then more soccer wise, the style of play and expectations and norms and those sorts of things. So that's where the preseason is really beneficial, where we could talk about all those things, practice them, look at them on video, and really start to kind of mold the way that they'd like for us to play. And the staff does a really good job of putting together feedback. We were doing the preseason, but we continue to do it weekly in terms of video with training and in games, and always trying to look back and compare that stuff to what do we want to be doing? What was the objective for that game or that training, and are we meeting it?
What's it like going from the captain of a really successful team, to say the very least, in Stanford, and maybe now you don't play as much with San Jose? Sometimes there's some stretches where Mensa gets a long run, maybe some where you get a long run, and then it's also a team that has struggled in San Jose.
Yeah, I think there's always challenges regardless of the spot you're in. Successful teams have challenges. You've got people clawing at your heels. When we were at Stanford, we had a run where we were doing pretty well, and you kind of knew wherever you went that you were sort of the game that was circled on people's calendar. You were going to get everyone's best. People didn't like us, and so that brought on its own challenges. That success breeds challenges, and then here we've, like you alluded to, we've had years with not as good performance, not as good outcomes, and that has its own challenges, right? You maybe struggle with confidence at times within the team and trying to build confidence in general, but like build confidence when you're winning, that you can close out a game, or there's all kinds of different nuances to it. But I think in each situation you have challenges, and so I think the cool thing is, can you identify those challenges individually or as a team, and then kind of talk about and work toward solutions toward them. And I think that's what this staff and this team has done this year, a good job of trying to be focused week in and week out on what that might be.
How does your role change in that? Because I'm sure while at Stanford you had much success, there were probably some games where like, oh, we didn't play well, or man, this is 2 bad weeks in a row, or maybe not to our standard. And as the captain, I know you got to be more vocal in the locker room. And I know just because of an armband doesn't mean you can't be a leader. But now that you enter San Jose and you have someone like Wando in your first few years, Shea, Tommy, who's been in there for a long time, of course, Jax, who's now the captain. When you sit there and you see loss after loss after loss, how do you approach that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was certainly more vocal at school, like you said, being a captain, being a big piece of the team, a big voice in the team. It was certainly a job for me to be vocal in good and bad moments. Try to keep people on the train tracks where we want to go. And then when you come into a new environment, especially a new level, like all the people that you referred to that are awesome locker room personalities, good players, but awesome people. I think initially for me it was just trying to learn. You come into a new level and you're sort of just trying to find your feet, and initially you need to sort of focus on yourself and focus on adjusting, kind of like sort of the stuff I was talking about earlier, adjusting to some of those differences in the game and differences in the level. And so your way of helping the team might just be focusing on being at your best, and kind of trying to pick up as much as I could from guys like Wando and Shea and Jackson and Tommy. Those guys are my age, more or less, but they have a ton of experience in the league that I didn't have, and so then as the time goes on, then you establish yourself a little more in the team, and then offer more of a voice in different moments, and we have some great personalities in the locker room that help with that. So
next I got some quick fire questions for you, just some questions, first thing that might come to your mind. Best away game city?
Away game city, Austin.
Worst away game city?
I don't love the city of Portland, but the stadium is really cool, so that's kind of a bad answer, but that's my answer.
Maybe Minnesota in early winter.
There you go. Yeah. St. Louis in March. Yeah.
Yeah. Right now, St. Louis at any time. Yeah. Best drip on the team?
Jackson has good style. Yeah, he is. So does Jonah. Jonah has good style.
Who walks in thinking they have the best drip on the team?
Maybe Christian. Yeah, Christian always has something crazy on.
Yeah, tight pants. Yeah.
Yeah, tight pants. Yeah, sure.
Have you found any good barbecue spots while over in the West Coast?
I haven't. Not that much. Not to say that I've ventured around. There's a spot in San Jose that they've catered once or twice to training, but I haven't seen a bunch of barbecue since I've been out here. Not barbecue the way I consider it is like barbecue. Not like we're grilling hot dogs.
Something you miss from North Carolina?
Well, my family would be the first answer, and then more materialistically, I think some food. on that point, you've got me on the food. Maybe like Bojangles.
A guilty pleasure you've adopted from California.
I picked up golf since I got out here, so that's probably a good one. Jack is the one that probably helped me with that. So not necessarily purely from the West Coast, but I've been golfing since I got out here, which I didn't do growing up.
Safe to say your swing's probably not as good as Miro's.
I think I might beat him on the course, but he's got the most exciting looking swing.
He's got heart, yeah.
Yeah.
You've probably been interviewed dozens of times. Is there anything you've ever wanted to be asked?
I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. That's a good question. Jeez.
I already asked about the Lululemon hat, so.
Yeah. I don't have anything good on that. That's a good one, though.
Is there anything you want people to know about San Jose this year with 2 games left at the time of this recording?
Yeah. I mean, we're just we're excited to be in the position that we're in, which is looking for playoffs, in the mix, in the hunt, and we've got everyone focused and working on achieving that goal of getting into the playoffs in the best spot possible. And like you said, we got 2 games left, so we'll be all noses pointed in that direction, trying to get points, as many points as possible to get into the playoffs in a great position.
And then finally, at the beginning of each season, players were supposed to choose a charity or organization they wanted to help, and you chose to join the group of players in the Health and Fitness Initiative. Can you speak a little bit on what this is and how people can help?
Yeah, the way they break those down, they can be sort of like categorized a little vaguely. So that's like a sort of an open-ended category, and then within that, my like specific group is the Stanford Children's Hospital. So that's the one I chose. I've visited there a few times in college, and those are always really cool experiences to kind of meet with those kids in the Children's Hospital. And so I thought that was a cool one that would be both meaningful to me and of course really impactful for those kids.